Good evening, everyone.
Good to have you here.
The time is now 6:06. This is the 20th day of October, and I call this meeting of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order.
Can you wait a minute till you can...
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you ready? For the record, could each board member announce their presence for the record, starting with Mr. Rodriguez?
Ricardo Rodriguez, present.
Juan Roberto Ramírez, present.
Ricardo Molina.
Frank Castillo, present.
Javier Montemayor, present. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item number 3, Pledge Allegiance. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor thy Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas is one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Gonzalez. Agenda item number 4, Mr. Gonzalez, is there any public comments?
Yes, I believe we have several. Vanessa?
Yes. Good evening, board members, superintendent, and everybody present. At this time, we have Mr. Ernest Avila with a public comment.
Board of Trustees, it's good to see you face to face, all masked up. Mr. President, Superintendent Mr. Gonzalez, congratulations, and a great letter to the editor. The administrators are doing a heck of a job. With HB 4545, all employees are doing more for the same amount of pay. So I'm here to talk about, I'm in opposition, and I want to advocate against consent agenda item 5B, approval of budget amendments. You're being asked to move $750,000 from payroll to capital improvements. You shouldn't be moving any money from payroll. You should, on the contrary, be making a budget amendment into payroll. I respectfully ask that one of you take it off the consent agenda so we can have a conversation. I know you have a lengthy agenda, and maybe today is not the right day. But gone is the administration where the employees got a $0 raise and the superintendent got $25,000. I had a conversation with Dr. Nelson back then, may he rest in peace, and I asked him, are you going to get a raise? And he looked at me straight in the face and said, if my employees don't get a raise, I won't get a raise. That's integrity. These employees have had their salaries frozen for 3 years, and that's way too long. It's time to have a conversation about doing a budget amendment. The students who were not attending, 3,400, it's down to 2,600. We are getting some funding for virtual, but that needs to change a little bit. I've been talking to Sam about that. In closing, let me just give you a specific example of the damage done by the salary freeze for a 30-year teacher. And the principle applies to all employees, except the dollars will vary. For a 30-year teacher, it would take a raise of $2,300 today to make what that 30-year teacher was making 3 years ago. This is unacceptable. I hope that we can have a conversation sometime so that we can compensate these employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davila. Any other public comments?
Yes, Mr. Montemayor. We have an additional comment, and this is from Mr. David Perez.
Mr. Perez?
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Gonzalez, members of the audience. My name is David Perez, President of the United Classroom Teachers Association. I'm here to speak about item 7C1, the Superintendent's Evaluation Instrument. Mr. David Gonzalez has been superintendent for a little over 3 months. And in that time, Mr. Gonzalez has done an outstanding job. He is very visible. I have personally witnessed him at our campus during staff development. I've seen him on the UISD website, visiting campuses, social media, visiting campuses. The district is going in a positive direction under Mr. Gonzalez. Therefore, I'm at a loss to understand why the board is looking at reviewing the evaluation instrument at this time. Is this being done to evaluate him or to set parameters for a future evaluation? I respectfully ask that the board delay any evaluation at this time and give Mr. Gonzalez a chance to prove himself. Thank you for your time.
We have an additional comment, and it's from René de la Viña.
Good afternoon, Mr. De La Viña.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, honorable board members and Superintendent Gonzalez. For the record, René de la Viña. I just wanted to mention, I have some message here from your school employees, teachers, administration, and paraprofessionals. Number one, I know that you all gave them a $3,500 stipend, which is good, and they're very appreciative of that. But LISD also gave them $5,000 stipend also. Plus, Laredo ISD gave them a pay increase on a pay step, which means they're going to get retirement every year it accumulates, versus a stipend, which is good, and nobody's complaining. They only goes to the retirement one time. And having said that, we're asking you if you could maybe look into the amendment of maybe giving them a pay step increase or a pay raise or something. You know, anything's better than nothing. And also, I just want to mention, as far as the your superintendent, Mr. Gonzalez, I think he's doing a fantastic job. I think you all ought to give him a 10-year contract. He's doing an excellent job. And, you know, I usually don't compliment, superintendents, but in this, you know, he's doing a great job, a real good job. He's very user-friendly. Whenever I have a problem or something or concern, he right away, I'll do is give him a call. And we don't always have to agree on everything, but usually he'll be able to fix it. So having said that, please keep him here for a very long time because he's an excellent, fantastic superintendent. Also wanted to mention that LISD, a first-year teacher, United ISD, a first-year teacher makes $1,000 less than a Laredo ISD first-year teacher. You may want to look into that. I know that I'm always coming up here asking you for money and stuff, but, you know, that's my job. That's what I have to do. And I think y'all are a great board, but again, let's look into giving your employees a salary increase instead of spending $150,000 on a fellowship program from TAMU. I think, you know, I mean, it's nice, but hey, your employees come first, in my opinion. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. De La Viña. All right.
We have another public comment, Mr. Jose Obando.
Mr. Obando. Good evening, Mr. Obando.
Good afternoon. My name's Jose Ovando. I'm here to speak in regards to the recall in the contract of the superintendent, or the that you guys want to revisit that contract again. I don't agree with that. The most important thing for me, or the school district, should be the education of our children, and their education is intrinsically related to the success of the superintendent. The ink hasn't dried on his contract, and you already want to revisit it. I say that we should back him completely up, and let's give him all the tools so he can succeed, because my children depend on his success. Let's give him, I say we give him a chance. Up until now, I've been surprised that the other day I asked for an appointment to talk to the superintendent, and he actually answered the phone. And I kept insisting, no, I need an appointment to talk to him. And he says, you are talking to him. And I couldn't believe that I was actually talking to the superintendent. That has never happened to me in all the years that my children have been going to school. So I agree with Mr. De La Viña. He is a good superintendent, and I say we give him an opportunity. This is politicking. This shouldn't be happening. If you want to revisit a contract, the contract that you should revisit is the one from Juan Cruz, the attorney to the school district. And you have put at stake your personal reputation to protect Juan Cruz. And not only that, you're also spending money to protect Juan Cruz. Because I was noticing here the possible action of retention of additional counsel to handle possible third-party subpoenas. And we know what these subpoenas are for. Why are you spending more money to protect this attorney? I completely don't understand that. And I have to follow with Mr. De La Viña on this fellowship program. This to me is like currying political favor. Why create, this is the dumbest thing that I've seen here. Why create this? I prefer that you give this money to the teachers. I agree with Mr. De La Viña on this one. Give it to the bus drivers. Give it to the lunch lady. Why? Because they're there with my kids at school every day. They are the ones that deserve this.
You have 1 minute, sir.
To close this, let me remind you that the existence of the school district is simply for my children, for the education of our children, not to be protecting Juan Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the record, we do not have the evaluation of the superintendent on the agenda tonight. The agenda item reads the approval of the evaluation instrument, which by law the board has to approve before the evaluation and sometime in the future. So, but thank you for your public comments. Agenda item number 5, we move on to the consent agenda items.
I'm sorry, Mr. Montemayor, we
got
have
another?
some additional public comments. We
Okay.
have 2 more individuals. We have Ms. Paz Biggs.
Good afternoon, Ms. Biggs. Mrs. Biggs.
Good evening, all of you. Known you and seen you for many, many years. I am here to advocate for our UISD children. You know, children have been my passion for many years. I was an employee for 30-some years, have been retired for 5, and I have really enjoyed it. So please, board members, support Mr. David Gonzalez, whom you voted in as superintendent, and do what is best for our children. Please, UISD employees here present, do what is best for our children. And I will repeat this over and over and over again. Do what is best for our children, okay? So, this is all I have to say for right now. But please remember, UISD has a new superintendent, and he is Mr. David Gonzalez. I support Mr. Gonzalez. He helped me in a situation when he was a principal at Washington Middle, and I will never forget it, Mr. Gonzalez. Never forget it. Just like I have met you and have known you, Mr. Castillo, I know you from Nye Elementary, Javier for many years, Ricardo, Roberto, Ricky, and I respect you, and I really, really appreciate what you're doing, and please, please do what you need to do for our children, not for anybody, not for you, not for me, not for the superintendent, but let us support him so he can help the teachers and other people who will do the best for our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Biggs.
We have one last public comment, and it's Mr. Victor Vasquez.
Good evening, Mr. Vasquez.
How you doing? Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Victor Vasquez. I'm going to address,
I can barely hear you, Mr. Vasquez. I'm sorry.
I want to talk about something that's been bothering me for months right now. It's the case of, you guys want to hire another law firm, whatever. And I don't agree that we keep Juan Cruz in our payroll. We know he's going through a situation that he had to fix before we can keep him in our budget, I guess. But it would be easy, cancel this contract and hire a new firm to deal with the problem with USD. Second, about the superintendent evaluation, I know he was been in the job for like about, I guess, 3 or 4 months, and it's kind of weird that I see that in the agenda. You say it's not, but I saw it in the agenda. And what I'm thinking about is the other money that we be wasting, and I think he signed the contract with the way it was, the evaluation is supposed to be, and now I think going back to the contract, it will be breaching the contract. I know you're a lawyer, and you understand what I'm saying, and it's subject to a lawsuit. We cannot keep paying lawsuit money when we be losing other cases too. So, and I also see that you guys want to implement or continue the program of management fellowship program that I think is a waste of money right now. We don't have the money, like I hear in the for the follow contingency, that say that that the teacher needs a pay raise. A student need more, better place to go, to study. Other things like I also read about the contract. Do you have $7-point-something million for the COVID on the schools? So I know you guys are spending a lot of money. The thing that drives my attention the most, that I see that a lot of the cases in the agenda is a closed section. Is there any way you guys can avoid to have so many closed sections that we can come and participate? I know it's only a few people that come here to the board, but we need to address more, encourage people to come. But people don't like to come here and waste their time just because you guys want to do a closed section most of the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is that it? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Agenda item number 5. At this time, we move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve item A through H.
There's a motion to approve
Second.
items A through H with a second. Any discussion?
I do. I also have questions regarding what this gentleman mentioned. We never really get to understand the reasoning behind each consent agenda, where it's going. I don't know if it's proper or not. I'm supposed to know since I'm the parliamentarian, but at this stage, I'm not sure if we ever bring any of these to discussion. Is there a formality how to do this, to be able to discuss things? Because the consent agenda, to me, can be filled of things that we don't even know what they are. That's my comment.
All right. Any further discussion?
Well, I think the consent agenda is made, so there's instruction and there's business.
Yes.
If you all have any business questions, like yourself, sir, you come in and when it comes down on the business thing, you can sit in the business committee and ask any question you have. Today, like when we're right here, instruction, they got instruction. They went through all the instruction stuff. If they had any questions of the instructions,
All other items
they would
in
ask about it.
agenda item, it would be, under consent, would be business related? Is that what it is?
We're not having public comments right
We're
now,
not
Mr.
having
Ovando.
public
Oh, I don't know if you were addressing me, that's why I just
No,
stood up.
no,
Sorry.
we're not addressing, we're having
No,
a
just
having a
It
discussion.
was just that, that's the thing that before we used to finish meeting at 12 o'clock at night. So they did the business and instruction committee, where everybody's welcome to come to the business and instruction committee. If you have any questions, you ask. And if you don't answer, there's a superintendent.
So, I
And
think-
if I may, Mr. Molina is correct. The focus of having instructional business meetings with the percent information is the ability to the people in those committees to ask questions and so forth. And it also gives the Board of Trustees and our audience, our public, a week to kind of internalize the items and then come back, and if they want to have public comments, we can discuss further.
And we
You are
have
correct.
leeway on the business and instruction.
You are
Well,
correct.
can we ever
That's all we do have,
remove some
social
of the
committee, and that's
agenda items out? Can we remove some of those?
Yeah, for the record, Stephen Trotman, legal counsel for the district. An agenda item that's on the consent agenda can be removed for individual consideration, but there would have to be a motion from the board to move
For the
it out
record, we
from
have
there.
Ramiro Vélez also present.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for the tardiness to you, sir, and to the audience.
Not a problem, sir. So the issue is we have, the district has I guess our format is where we have the business and instructional committee meetings the week before our regularly scheduled board meetings. That is where, at these meetings, these business and instructional committees are where the information is presented, where the contracts or requests for qualifications are reviewed, the discussions are had, and there being no questions or no comments, we place it for consent agenda. If a board member wants to remove an item from the consent agenda for individual consideration, he can make a motion and it'll be up to the board to remove that item, and
That
it'll
is
be
correct.
discussed for individual consideration, or tabled, or whatever the motion would be.
Would it be done at the committee meeting level or here?
It can be done here. So that's the, I guess, the process that has been in place for some time. Perhaps we can revisit that for the next meeting, so all board members could have all the information on what's on the consent agenda. Not all of us sit on the business committee, and not all of us sit on the instructional committee. So perhaps we can, get all that information out to the board members, and we can have some.
But that being said, all board members are entitled to attend the committee
Sure.
meeting as an audience member.
Like everybody else.
So I have a motion and a second to approve items A through H. Is there any further discussion on these items? All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda item 6, items for individual consideration. Approval of donations. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. Right here, excuse me. Yes, the following this time, donations over $1,000 or more. United ISD has received a donation of hand sanitizers bottles in value of $68,640 from Dexa USA. John B. Alexander Football received a donation of $1,850 from the Football Booster Club, as well as a donation of $1,000 from Ricardo Rodriguez Jr. We have Clark Elementary School receiving donation of hand sanitizers worth $1,000 from Mr. Hernani Martinez. Malakoff Elementary received donation of hand sanitizer valued at $1,000, again from Mr. Arsani Martinez. Roberto J. Santos Elementary School received donation of $1,000, also valued hand sanitizer, again Mr. Martinez. Linda B. Johnson High School FFA Club received 1,100 donation from the Cola Blanca Corporation. Our athletic department for UISD received the following donations: from Algrini Oil, $1,000, Netsky Network Solutions, $1,000, Carlisle Insurance, $3,000, Wells Fargo, $1,000, Castillo Reyes and Del Rio Law Firm, $2,000, Texas Community Bank, $2,000, Cavazos and Associates Architect, $1,000, Texas Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, $2,000, Laredo Arturo Hotel Management Company, $2,000, the Cristian Cabello Pediatrics Dentistry, $3,000, Laredo Sports Medicine Clinic, $1,000, Synergy Structure Engineering, $1,000, Gulf Coast Paper Company Insurance Incorporated, $1,000, Steward, $1,000, Jose R. Sanchez, Junior Cinta Sanchez, $1,000, and then we have other donations under $1,000. The grand total is $100,665. We want to acknowledge these entities from their generous donations, which goes directly to our campus departments, and ultimately it promotes our students from all our district. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve? You got a motion
So moved.
and a second by Mr. Ramirez. Any further discussion on the donations? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 6B, approval of additional appraisers for the 2021-2022 school year. Good evening, Mr. Canales.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Montemurro, distinguished board members, Mr. Gonzalez, our superintendent, and our community members that are sitting with me today. We have two additional administrators that need to be approved for T-test evaluations, and we want to see if we can get those two approved.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve?
Second.
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 Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you. 6C, approval of board minutes for the month of June and July 2021.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 6D, approval of board travel to the fall TASB Legal Seminar in Austin, Texas, November the 5th, 2021.
So moved. Second?
Motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Item 6E, discussion and possible action regarding appointment of board officers.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I would like to make a change on the officers. I would like to put Mr. Vélez as the president, Ms. Oliveros as the vice president, Mr. Ramirez as the secretary, and Mr. Molina as the parliamentarian.
There's a motion.
I carry a motion.
You can second the motion?
Second the motion.
There's a motion to approve. Can you repeat your motion?
My motion is to put Mr. Vélez as president, vice president would be Alisa Oliveros, secretary would be Mr. Ramirez, and parliamentarian would be Mr. Molina.
Okay, there's a motion to put Mr. Vélez as president, Ms. Oliveros as vice president, Mr. Molina as parliamentarian, Mr. Ramirez as secretary. Okay, that's your second?
I second the motion.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Discussion?
Aye.
All right. Discussion? I'm sorry, discussion?
Why? Why make a motion like this?
My decision that I want to make.
And I respect Mr. Vélez very much, but he was there already as a board president.
He was vice president already.
Mr. Vélez.
Twice.
Mr. Ramirez?
I'm sorry?
Do you have anything to say on that?
No, I'm
No,
okay.
I'm just asking why it is,
No, I'm just, you're just saying he was president. He was president twice already.
yeah. But he wasn't, when I came in, it was Mr. Vélez. And he's done a good job. I'm not going to take that away from him. It's a great job.
First it was him, and then Mr. Vélez, no,
No, Alisa.
Elisa?
Alisa, and then Mr. Vélez, and then
And then,
actually Judd Gilpin.
then him, yeah, in jail, came back. That's another story. They go on.
I feel,
Must go on. Yeah, go on.
All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Vélez.
I'm against, one against.
One against, two against. Discussion, item 6F, discussion possible action to revisit the creation of and establish United Independent School District Management Fellowship Program.
Well, who brought that item? Because I'd like to know,
I did.
what's the basis for this?
The basis for that,
This is a program that I wanted to bring.
are you gonna let me talk, or you gonna talk?
Let me recognize Mr. Molina. Go
Okay,
ahead.
okay. And it's been obvious, everybody that was here, that they didn't get a raise. The teachers didn't get a raise. They got a $3,500, but they didn't get a raise. Or we're gonna hire 3 people to send them to get a master's for 3 years, then bring them back and hire them, when we already have all these people on staff. I don't see no sense, I don't know. This is my opinion. There are 7 opinions. I don't know what your opinion is.
Okay,
What's your opinion, sir? Go
okay,
ahead.
if I can be recognized, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
A management fellows programs, and I'm disappointed the gentlemen from the teachers' unions are not here. It doesn't take away anything from teachers. It doesn't do anything of that sort. If anything, it complements the district. It sets us up to be a vibrant community leader in educating, but we're not, let me rephrase that, in helping graduates who completed their education to come and give them an introduction to the business side, the operations side of our school district. It won't interfere with teachers. And honestly, we had voted on this before, and we all saw the need and the purpose behind having highly qualified individuals who have a master's in public education. They could come from any part of the state, not just TAMIU, as I've heard. And it would not take anything from teachers. Teachers, I have been a proponent of raises for teachers and all employees since I got here. I've been proposing that, yet we found things to do with our money that it's always been a question to me. Why do certain employees get a raise? I'm against that. I want everybody to get a raise. Why do certain employees feel that they're indebted to have a position to be operating in our department. That is not the basis, and that is not something that I want to see affect the operation and the administration of our school district. I've thought I had explained this to our fellow board members, that it would just bring, let me think of the correct terms I wanted to mention. I believe this is an investment in people who want to come and work for us. They're going to be hired just like everybody else. They're going to have to meet the same criteria. They're going to have to do the same thing any regular employee does: drug tests, background checks, all the like. There's nothing here to take away from teaching, because they're not going to be teachers. They're going to be operations people, people that we can hopefully bring in. And these people are highly qualified because they're going to be going through the academic standards of ethics, and they've already going to be completed. So you could get, I'll give you a second. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. And so it's investment in our future. And lastly, we want an educated workforce. But I find it hard to believe that one of the main sources of educating the public is against people who have an education to come and work for us. So that's the way I see it. I see it really ingenuous that we bring this up now when we have already made plans to bring the first applicants in January, to try to explain to them that we need their expertise, how to operate government. And I told people before, we are government. We're our own government. And one of the last things I'll mention, sir, people say a lot that there's 3 branches of government, right? The judiciary, the legislative, the executive. I'll tell you a 4th one. All these people out here, staff, the bureaucracy, they're another form of government. We rely on them to tell us the information, to tell us what's going on in their departments. We have to rely on them. I'm just saying, let's complement them with the people who are trained in public administration, who have no other interest but to help run our school district better, more effectively, and more efficiently. And so I stand on bringing this and tabling this. If I may, as the 3 people who submitted this, I really don't appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay,
Go ahead, Mr.
how much is it going to cost this program?
I'm not sure, but we gave contracts out.
You're going to hire 3 people?
It is.
We already have administrators. We already have everything.
Let's not talk over each other. Go ahead. What's your question?
I think we already have administrators. We have everybody we need to run a program like this. We don't need to get out in the world and get everybody and spend more money of the that you're talking about. I mean, not looking into the money of the district or the education or whatever. I'm just concerned about spending money that we don't have, that we can't give, or period. That's my final comment.
If I may,
But, sir, go ahead.
Mr. Rodriguez, go ahead.
I kind of like your item, but I think it's not the time and it's not the feasible time to do it and to implement it at this point in time. We're going through some tough crisis as we speak. And I know, I heard some of the public comments that were made, and I just don't feel it's a time. Maybe for the future, I would agree for it, but right now, I would have to stick with Mr. Molina for it, so I second my motion on that.
Anybody else?
If I may, I think the question is that, again, it's going to cost money. I haven't seen anything yet that we haven't done that hasn't cost money. And I can go on a litany of things that we've done to expend our taxpayers' money. But this is an investment in the future of our administration, an investment in students who have graduated with the correct degree to come and work for us. And I say that firmly, with the correct degree to come and operate our programs. And I think that's where some people are having a hard time understanding this. They're thinking that they're teachers. No, they're not. They're administrators. That's why they went to school and got their master's in public administration. I know we actually have staff, maybe 1 or 2 who have that MPA program. and you ask them if they would have had an opportunity to go work for the school district right after getting their master's in public administration, if they would not have jumped on the opportunity. This is not to take anybody's job away. This is an opportunity to complement what we have. And of course, it has to have the culture, the right culture to come and invest in the school district. And I know that it has to be something that, again, our administration, and I'll call it the bureaucracy because that's the correct academic term, okay? If they're going to feel comfortable, and they have to buy into it. But if we're not showing you that direction here, that's not my fault. But I'm telling you that is what a future looks like. It's going to get there eventually. And if they want to table it or put it for a later date, this is something that actually we need now more than ever because of our financial crisis. That's what we need right now. People who are learned in government, in finances, in ethics, and things of that matter. That's what we need right now. Thank you.
Well, I'll say this. I think we need to be a little more organized as a board before we approve these items, and then come back and have to rescind and then claim, well, hey, there's no money to do that. If that's the case, I think we got to do that across the board for everything. All right? This board gave, the discretionary authority to reclassify, through December, and to our superintendent, and that's cost us some money too. And so, if we're going to be, talking about holding the strings back and saying, hey, we're going to save money and let's give it to the teachers and let's give it to the employees, I'm in full agreement. Since I've been on the board since 2010, all but 2 years have we given either raises or bonuses to our employees. All but 2 years. And those 2 years were financial crisis that we didn't know what the state was going to do, or our values went down. And so, if we're going to be creating positions, if we're going to be, dividing executive directorships and paying the same salary to the new executive director, at the same time, then it applies equally to everything. Let's not claim, hey, well, we're going to save money because we're going to rescind this item because we want to save money. That we should have done. I agree. I agree. Well, I'm not finished yet. Okay. So, I think that we need to really sit down and get together and see where we're going to move as far as, creating new positions, as far as approving the expenditures of money across the board. I don't completely disagree with Mr. Castillo. I think, there's some benefit to that program. Bringing in people, experts in their field to help mentor our teachers or help mentor our kids. I think there's value in that. I think there's value in that. So it may not be the right time. As far as I understood it, it was approved. It hasn't been funded. Am I incorrect? There's been
a discussion with Human Resources, Mr. Castillo.
But today it's not been funded, and there is no job description yet that I understand has been approved by the board either.
I know Mr. Castillo is working with Mr. Garcia and HR on that.
Okay, so
I thought it was funded.
it's not been funded. Those positions were created, that program was approved, but the specifics of that program has not been funded, and there's not been a job description that the board has looked at or approved. So we're rescinding something that, there's value in, but we don't really know what it's all about at this time. So, until we get to that point to, hey, this is a job description, this is what it's going to be, this is the amount of money, I'd say, why throw away something that has good value yet? We don't know what it's going to, it hasn't cost us anything at this point. When we get to that point, then we can certainly go back and look at this and talk about rescinding it or not approving it. But today there's nothing on the table that United is losing by keeping this fellowship program, the idea of it, alive. Because today there has not cost us any money. So my sub-motion, or my second motion on top of yours, Mr. Rodriguez, is to table this item until we have a certain, request for funding and a request for a job description. But other than that, or Mr. Molina's motion, I'm sorry. But other than that, I think it's premature to just rescind it now. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead. So,
I second.
all right. So motion to table item 6F, which is to revisit the creation and the establishment of the District Management Fellowship Program at this time until we have some direction from the superintendent and his staff that it's been funded or it's been, there's a job description. You know, we got a second from Mr. Castillo. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you.
If I may, President Montemayor, just to address members of the board, obviously we have people in the audience, but as superintendent, changes that I made with the administrative team, we have not been in the red. I have made sure that other positions were not replaced, to making sure that we are not any type of misappropriation of any funds anywhere. So any place that I've created, make some changes. What I've done also, I've converted different positions, but I have not replaced some other ones. And all this time, we're not in any red in any position of the positions that I've created, for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't think there's been a comment that we're in the red or there's been a misappropriation of funds.
If I may, sir, you did say that it's cost us money, but I made sure that we were not in the red.
No, it has cost us money,
Okay?
sir, but thank you. Approval, item 6G, approval of request from board members regarding the use of discretionary funds for various campuses and departments.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Gonzalez, members of the audience, I bring to you the additional requests on top of the committee requests that were submitted last week. For John B. Alexander, Mr. Sandoval, the requester, on behalf of Ms. Oliveros, it's a FEV tutorial program for $6,000. We have for the Cherish Center, on behalf of requester Matias Hidrogo, from Alisa Oliveros, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Vélez, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Molina, the grand total of $4,000 divided equally. We have for Elias Herrera Middle School, requester Mr. Martinez, board members Mr. Montemayor, Mr. Castillo, a golf cart to patrol the area, $7,500, $3,750 each. For Clark Middle, this is an amended request because there was a reduction in the price, the original request. Originally, it was $2,000 for class kick by Mr. Montemayor. It was reduced from $2,000 to $1,499, so it's a reduction of $501. Another amended request for John B. Alexander. Mr. Sandoval is the requester. To Mr. Rodriguez from Fine Arts. From Mr. Rodriguez, board member, to consultation or consultants for high school bands for a grand total of $4,620. For Juarez Lincoln Elementary School, Mr. Ortiz is the requester. Mr. Molina approving for pencil grips for students pre-kinder through 5th for a grand total of $2,219.78. And then the last one is for Juarez Lincoln, Mr. Ortiz, requester, Mr. Molina, providing the funds for UISD lost textbooks, $750. That is it, sir.
All right, motion to approve? Motion to approve, sir. All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. All right, closed session, the time is now 6:49 p.m. The board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to sections 551.071, 72, 74, 76, and 87 of the Texas Government Code to discuss agenda items 7A through E. Be back in about an hour. All right, the time is now 8:10. We're reconvened from closed session. The board will take appropriate action on items if necessary, as discussed in closed session. 8A, discussion, possible action regarding the potential memorandum of understanding with Webb County regarding the DS-200 electronic voting machines and election day sites, and to authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute required documents.
Yes, for the record, Jaime Garcia, legal counsel. The recommendation on that item is to authorize the superintendent in conjunction with legal counsel to negotiate and execute the required documents pertaining to the MOU with Webb County regarding the DS-200 electronic voting machines and election day sites.
Motion?
Motion to approve, sir.
All right, all those in
Motion and
favor,
second.
signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Item B, discussion possible action regarding lawsuit styled City of Laredo, United ISD versus Greg Abbott, pending in the 49th District Court, Webb County. Is there a motion, or?
Yes, again, this is Jaime Garcia, legal counsel. The recommendation on that item is to authorize legal counsel to proceed as discussed in closed session.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve, sir. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. C, discussion possible action regarding lawsuit styled Jose Gutierrez versus United ISD et al.
And that, the recommendation there is no action at this time.
Motion to approve?
Motion, sir. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. D, possible action with respect to retention of additional legal counsel to handle possible third-party subpoenas and other legal issues in situations when the board determines it would rather utilize counsel other than the currently retained counsel to represent United ISD. Mr. Valls?
Come on down.
Got that awkward silence going, Mr. Valls.
Yes, Ken Valls, legal counsel, with the recommendation that United Independent School District retain the law offices of Hull and Alvarez.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Valls.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item E, possible action with respect to entering into a purchase and sale contract regarding the real property owned by L91 BC Properties LLC, as described in the agenda. Discussion? Is there a motion?
Yes, Jaime Garcia, legal counsel, again, on that one, there's no action necessary at this time.
Agenda item F, action regarding superintendent's evaluation instrument. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. G, consideration and possible action to accept for consideration one or more applications for an appraised value limitation on qualified property under the Texas Economic Development Act, Texas Tax Code, Chapter 313. Assess an application fee and authorize superintendent to review the application for completeness and submit an application to the controller. Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, we need some specific language, so may I make a recommendation for the board, please? For the record, Stephen Trotman, legal counsel. It's recommended that the board accept for consideration Siete Wind LLC's application for an appraised value limitation on qualified property, set a standard application fee of $80,000 for such application, and authorize the superintendent to acknowledge receipt of the application and application fee, review the application, and upon a determination that such application is complete, work with the Underwood Law Firm to submit the application to the comptroller as set out in Chapter 313 of the Tax Code.
Make a motion to approve recommendation by legal counsel, Mr. President.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. H, consideration and possible action to retain school finance consultant Moak Casey and Associates to assist the district in processing and evaluating the financial impact of one or more applications for appraised value limitation on qualified property.
Yes, once again, the recommendation is to retain the firm of Moak Casey and Associates as school finance consultants to assist the district in processing and evaluating Siete Wind LLC's application for appraised value limitation on qualified property, and authorize the board president to sign such engagement letter with Moak Casey and Associates to secure such services.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in agreement signify by saying aye.
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 Last item is adjournment. Anybody opposed?
Nope.
Motion carries.